So right now in both CC and Blitz, Aurora is a very strong, nearly tier 1 hero. But in Commoner, she's up against a lot of different Runeblades who are very, very, very good. That said, Aurora with her Lightning synergy brings a lot to the table. So let's look at an Aurora Lightning build today. A huge shout out to our channel members for supporting what we do here. If you want to get involved with the channel and the Dice Commando community, please consider joining as a channel member. Remember, these videos are only possible with your support. You can show that support with a like, a subscribe, and by leaving us a comment and sharing your feedback. Community first, and go Commando. Hey there, my fab friends. Welcome back to the channel for another installment of Dice Commando. That's right, today we are looking at one of my favorite heroes to be playing right now, at least. I'm having a lot of fun with her in both CC and Blitz, and that is Aurora. Now, when we first saw her in Commoner and we started seeing everything she had available to her, I'll be honest, and you all were here with me, right? If you weren't, well, I'll catch you up to speed. I basically said I don't know why you'd ever functionally play her over Briar, right? I mean, because it makes a lot of sense. Briar's Earth and Lightning, so has access to basically everything, so we are not looking at specs and stuff like that, right? And Starfall's not a spec. Briar could play Starfall. Don't know, why she would against Rosetta Thorn, but you get the point. That said, I have to retract that a little bit because Aurora's basically just easier to build, and she's kind of she's Lightning Fi, right? You just kind of, I think it's more about her build and you just kind of puke it out. Now, I want to be clear, she doesn't have the mixed damage shenanigans that she has in CC, or I should say in constructed formats, and right, we completely acknowledge that. But she still has all the Runeblade tricks, and I think one thing that really changed my tone on this, and yes, all of the Runeblades have access to this, but it's a card, Runehold Release, right? So one of the challenges with Aurora was, well, how am I going to create, in Commoner, right, how am I going to be able to reliably create the aura that I need for High Note, or for Dirge, or for whatever it may be, right, in terms of those little tricks? And this is the answer, right? So whereas in some of the other builds you might still want to play Goliath Gauntlet for Shrill or whatever it might be, I actually think that most people are skewing to this card of itself in their Runeblade builds just to have that on demand. But this one I think really changes a lot in terms of kind of my outlook on Aurora. So let's go ahead and go through my build. So we're on Aether Ironweave, which is no surprise there. That thing is crazy good in Commoner. We're on Flash or Brilliance. Not really for the effect, but if you're just going to throw an Iron Rod in, you may as well throw a way prettier card. Maybe you got the cold foil of it. It's a pretty card, right? Blocks for 1, does what it is. And like I said, if it defends, discard a Lightning, return an Aura, meh, right? You're probably meh. So you get me. Runehold Release, and then we're on Snappies. And yes, we are playing Starfall. I absolutely freaking love Starfall in everything, right? The fact that it can come mid-chain as long as you've played Lightning is just phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. Okay, now as we go through this deck, you're going to notice that there's a lot of parallels to an Aurora CC deck, right? Or an Aurora Blitz deck, as it may be. And I think that inherently makes a lot of sense, but we have to obviously derate for things that are rares or higher, right? Because that's how Commoner works, okay? You're cracking eggs here, Andrew, right? So yes, we have Shockwave as you expect. Now, one you don't see in normal constructed is Dirge, but the power of Dirge in this format with basically Runehold Release and stuff like that is very strong, right? So we're playing Dirge, and it pairs up with Runehold Release perfectly, or maybe you have some way to get, I don't know that you necessarily want to pop Embodiment of Lightning is the thing, right? But there's options for you. Okay? Now, Electrify is a card that we had to really go with here, both to keep the Lightnings we wanted, and also to kind of really get us back into that, Burn Up Shock, what I still call Rune Grenade. So Electrify from a certain point of view, get my Obi-Wan voice on, right? From a certain point of view, this serves the role of your Rune Grenade. Okay? Now it's damage, and it's not arcane, and right, it's not functional, but also you get, it costs also, which kind of stinks, but if it's in an arsenal, you get the card, so you get it, right? That's where this one comes from, and I think it serves its purpose just fine, because it's also lightning and fusible. Electrostatic Discharge with Flittering Charge, that makes a lot of sense. Entwined Lightning's in there. We are on Fry. Fry stinks with the 0, but it is a ghost, and it's a lightning, and it does what you need it to do in several cases. Now, I am on Red-Blue Heaven's Claws here. There are some other options that you could do For instead of Heaven's Claws, for example, like Triple Light Fantastic, there's a very real argument for running a red Trip instead because you can discard it for the 2. I just like the 3 block on Heaven's Claws. There are relevant on hits against like ninjas and stuff like that, right? So I think having that 3 on board is very helpful. We are on 1 hit the high notes, or sorry, well, by 1 I mean just the red, right? Usually, like in many cases, you're going to run the red blue. But I think it makes sense just to run the red here. It's a block 3, and again, you have your Runehold Release on board. A lot of times you're going to be able to give this goes or chain end with this or something like that. Makes a lot of sense. The next cards I think kind of write themselves. Surge, Photon Rush, blue, red, blue. Remember, this is a block 3. That's the main reason we're here. It is not a lightning. Usually you want your lightnings to be blue, or you want your blues to be lightning, the other way around. This is not. It's just an elemental. Being able to block is good. And again, all you have to do is play a lightning card. You don't have to fuse or anything like that to get the goes on Rush. Rabble, Scar, and then Second Strike. Do keep in mind Second Strike, right? You have to deal the damage before you attack with Second Strike. So if you come in with a Rune Chant on the attack, then the Rune Chant hits, you get it. If Second Strike deals damage itself, it doesn't because it doesn't have it when it comes in, right? So just be very careful how you sequence. We are on red, yellow Sizzle. Sizzle is so, again, I've told you I love Starfall. Sizzle's so good. I play 1 copy of Sizzle in my Aurora Blitz deck. I play 2 copies in my CC deck. I love it, right? It might not be super optimal with what the pros are doing, but the fact that I can just do that and Starfall and then end with a 0-4 on a bad turn is pretty good. Like, more than pretty good. Okay. We then have Triple Light Fantastic, as I already showed, for a lightning that can also become a kind of a... what was it, taken on the chin or stuff like that. Okay, now one of the disadvantages, one of the cool things about Aurora and Constructed is that her equipment can basically be her equipment because you have natural AB3, right? You have AB, under normal circumstances, you have AB1 on her boots and you have AB2 on her chest piece with Dyadic. I know a lot of people are playing Findalls, but we're going down a rabbit hole there, right? Point is, she has AB3 natural. We don't have that here, so we do have to include AB equipment, which eats up our board a little bit. So I'm on 2 Poppers for FFS and 2 Oasis with AB3, and that rounds out our board because remember, we only have to have 1 weapon here. Okay, so that is it. In terms of sequencing of this, it's Aurora. It kind of just writes itself, right? Use your Electrifies for fuse, get them tucked, try to set up a Rune Grenade turn, right, for lack of a better term, and just pound them, right? That's what you're trying to do. But you don't defend well. You kind of got to do your thing, but you have a lot of wide breakpoints. So the key to this deck really is Electrify, right? You're not going to be able to Runeblade ping them because you only have a couple of generators of that. You really need to like get your Electrify up and then do your tricky tricks. No Lightning Press, sucks, stinks, but it is what it is. Anyway, doesn't mean that this isn't any lack of fun. When you compare it to a Chane, well, I think we both know where that sits. But this is doing something very different, and it's still a very fun deck to play. So anyway, that'll do it for today. Let me know what you're thinking, folks. Nothing else. Go Commando.